The sky cracked in half the moment I died. My name is Amanda Lee, and what I'm about to tell you is not a dream, not a vision, and definitely not something I ever asked for. On April 14th, 2025, a lightning bolt struck me, right in the middle of a flower market. It stopped my heart instantly. I was declared clinically dead for 6 minutes, but in those minutes, I saw Jesus Christ, and he showed me 4 events that are about to shake the world in May 2025. I didn't want to come back, but he told me, Amanda, they must be warned. I remember the smell of rain before it even started. It had been one of those bright, warm mornings where the sun made everything look alive, too alive. But something felt off. The air was heavy, thick, charged. I couldn't explain it, but something in my spirit felt like it was holding its breath. I had just stepped out of my apartment with my reusable bag and some extra cash. Saturdays were flower market days. I always went to pick up peonies and talk to Rosa, the sweet older woman who sold lavender soap from her little wooden stand. I didn't know that morning would be the last normal breath I'd ever take. People think death gives you a warning, that there's a buildup, but it doesn't. Death sometimes comes disguised as a routine errand. At 10:23 a.m., everything changed. I was walking through the market, humming a song from church under my breath, when I felt it. Not fear, not pain. A static charge, the kind you feel right before a thunderstorm breaks. I looked up. The clouds above the city were moving in strange patterns, too fast, swirling almost like they were alive. And then it happened. A flash of white light, a roar louder than anything I'd ever heard, and then black. I didn't even feel myself hit the pavement. There were no paramedics yet, no voices yelling, just gone. But here's the strange part. I was still aware. I could feel myself loosening, like a tight knot being undone. My soul wasn't ripped out, it was released. And what came next? No words will ever be enough, but I'll try, because you need to know. That morning was supposed to be simple, peaceful. It was the one routine in my week that felt untouchable. The flower market, the little patch of color and joy tucked away near Ashbury Street, was my sanctuary. You wouldn't think a place like that could be your final scene, but heaven has its own timing. I remember walking past the honey stall and waving at the teenage boy who always offered free samples. I remember adjusting the strap on my shoulder bag, feeling my phone buzz in my back pocket. I ignored it. My mom was probably texting again about church plans. "Hey, Amanda," Rosa called. I smiled and walked over. "You're early today," I said. That's when the wind shifted, not the kind you expect before a spring storm. This was sharp, intentional. It was as if the air itself became aware of me. The hairs on my arm stood up. "You okay?" Rosa asked. "I think a storm's coming," I replied. But even as I said it, the clouds above us turned strange. They weren't gray. They were silver, metallic, spinning in a way clouds shouldn't spin. That's when I saw the light. Not natural light, not sunlight, something holy. I had no time to react. The lightning came down in a single focused bolt, like it had chosen me. There were dozens of people nearby, but it hit me. A scream, a flash, then nothing. But death didn't feel like an ending. It felt like a beginning. As my body crumpled to the ground, I was already leaving it. It was like watching someone else fall. I was floating upward, slowly, peacefully, while people below shouted and ran toward my body. "She's not breathing!" someone screamed. But I wasn't worried, because I wasn't there anymore. I wasn't supposed to survive. That's what the doctors would later say. The bolt hit me directly in the chest, stopping my heart instantly. People don't survive that. Not without brain damage, not without being broken. But that's the thing. They only tell you what science understands. What they don't understand is what happens when heaven decides to interrupt Earth. As the electricity surged through my body, I felt still. Time didn't slow down. It ceased. My awareness separated from my body so fast, I didn't even realize I was dead. I looked down and saw my body, hair singed, clothes smoking, people running, but I felt no pain, no fear, just silence. And then the sky split open above me. A tunnel, but not dark, not closed, a living corridor of light. It spun like galaxies woven together. I was being pulled upward, not forced, invited. The current around me wasn't wind or gravity. It was love. Love in motion. I heard voices, not human ones, singing, not in English, not in any language I've ever spoken. But I understood them. Every note was full of joy, every syllable wrapped in peace. As I passed through the tunnel, flashes began to surround me, visions, memories, truths I had forgotten. I saw myself as a child praying in my room. I saw the moment I forgave someone who never apologized. I saw my tears, my worship, my loneliness, all collected like sacred treasure. Nothing was wasted, a voice said. Then a shift. The tunnel gave way to stillness, and I stepped into eternity. The moment my spirit fully detached from my body, I crossed over, not just from life to death, but from time to truth. There was no grand gate, no harps, just stillness. But not empty stillness. It was alive, like the air itself was watching me, waiting. The colors were unreal, richer, deeper, almost breathing. Light didn't shine, it communicated. Then I realized I wasn't standing on anything, yet I wasn't falling. I had weight but no body. I had vision but no eyes. And yet, I had never seen more clearly. Then I heard the most familiar voice I've ever known, though I had never heard it before. Amanda. My name. But not the way people say it. He spoke it like he created it. I turned toward the voice, and there he was. Jesus. Not the Jesus from paintings, not the distant figure from Sunday school stories. The living one. He looked at me, and every broken piece of my life shattered and was made whole in the same breath. I didn't fall to my knees. I didn't need to. My entire being bent toward him without effort. It's like my soul recognized its creator and surrendered without hesitation. I've waited to speak with you face to face, he said. There is much to show you. Time is not what you think. His robe shimmered with light and storm. His eyes, I don't even know how to describe them. Galaxies lived in them. Every word I ever prayed echoed in his gaze. And then he lifted his hand. A scroll appeared in the air between us. 4 events are coming in May 2025, he said, and you must return to tell them. My spirit trembled. He opened the scroll, and what I saw inside shook me to the core. I hovered just above the scene, watching the chaos unfold as if it were someone else's tragedy. But it wasn't. It was me, lifeless, sprawled on the flower market pavement, steam rising from my burned shirt, the petals of my bouquet scattered like an offering around my body. Rosa knelt beside me, sobbing. "She's not breathing," someone yelled. "I think she's gone," another cried out. I wanted to comfort them. I wanted to say, "It's okay, I'm not in there anymore." But I couldn't, because I wasn't part of that world now. I had crossed into something else. Time had no meaning. It wasn't ticking forward, it was holding still. I felt no heartbeat, no breath. But I wasn't afraid. The fear had stayed behind with my body. Then I noticed something strange. There was a glow around the people praying. Yes, praying. Some bystanders weren't panicking. They were praying in soft, trembling voices. And I could see it, actual light flowing from their lips like mist, rising upward. It didn't disappear into the sky. It moved with intelligence, like it knew where it was going. Upper, always up. It passed me, and I felt it. Warmth, as if those prayers were giving me strength even beyond death. And then I saw it. A figure in white stood near my body, arms crossed calmly, watching me. He wasn't in a rush. He wasn't worried. "Amanda," he said without speaking aloud, "you've seen enough of this part. It's time to move forward." I didn't walk toward him. I simply arrived beside him. He turned, and with one final glance at the broken shell that was once me, I followed. The figure beside me didn't speak again, but the moment I stepped past him, the space shifted completely. No more flower market, no more earth, just light, moving light. But this tunnel wasn't like the ones people describe in near-death stories. It wasn't just light at the end. The entire tunnel was alive, and it was made of voices. Voices I recognized, whispers from people I had forgotten. My grandmother singing hymns, my childhood prayers, a stranger praying for the world on a subway, a pastor's sermon that once touched me. They were all woven into this passageway. Every voice had color, every sound had texture, and it all flowed in one direction, forward. "These are the echoes of faith," said a new voice beside me. "They have built your path." I turned. Another being had joined me, tall, radiant, not male or female, just pure presence. "Are you an angel?" I asked. "I am a messenger," they replied. "And this is the corridor of intercession. Few see it, but it is here for all who walk in faith." Each step, or what felt like a step, revealed more voices. "I didn't know my prayers mattered that much," I whispered. "They always do," the messenger said, "even the ones you whispered when you thought no one was listening." I walked in silence, tears forming. Though I had no body, I felt the deep ache of weeping. Not from sadness, from knowing. I had lived most of my life unaware of the power of my own connection to heaven. Now I was walking inside the evidence of it. When the tunnel ended, everything around me changed again. The movement stopped, the voices faded, and suddenly I was standing in what I can only call the chamber of stillness. There were no walls, no floor, no ceiling, just infinite calm. Not silence, calm. The kind of calm that makes you remember who you are, that strips you bare not to shame you, but to show you truth without filters. I could feel everything, every sin, every kindness, every hesitation, every moment of courage. They floated around me like glowing fragments of my soul. Then I heard him, the voice that had once formed the stars. "Amanda," he said. I turned, and there he stood, Jesus. But this time I could see him more clearly. The light that surrounded him didn't just glow, it carried weight, glory, majesty, but also tenderness. He didn't scold me, he didn't judge me. He simply was, and in that being I understood everything. "You've wondered if your life mattered," he said gently. "Let me show you how it fits into the story." A book appeared in his hands, its pages made of light. As he opened it, scenes of my life played out, times I thought were wasted, moments I regretted. But he pointed to each and said, "I used this, and even that." Then his face grew solemn. "There is much ahead, and you must return with this message." He gestured toward the space ahead. "Come, I will show you 4 things that will happen in May 2025. And we walked forward, into the realm of what is to come. Before I saw the first event, he stopped. We stood before what looked like a veil of gold light, rippling, alive, pulsing with what felt like the heartbeat of creation. He looked at me, not with pity, not even just love, but with recognition. "You were made to carry this," Jesus said. "But I'm not holy," I whispered. "You are mine," he replied, "and that is enough." He touched my forehead, not with his hand, but with knowing. And suddenly everything changed. I remembered heaven. I remembered him. I remembered the truth behind my earthly forgetfulness, that my soul knew him before I was born, that he had never been distant. I had. And as he looked into me, I saw a reflection in his eyes, my face, but restored, without fear, without guilt. without doubt. "This is who you truly are," he said, "and this is why they must listen." The light behind the veil grew brighter. "It's time to show you the first," he said, "the first of 4 events that will shake May 2025. My spirit tensed, but he placed a peace inside me that was stronger than fear. He lifted his hand, and the veil opened. What I saw, I will never forget. As the veil of light folded open, I stood next to Jesus, heart pounding with something I had never felt before, holy anticipation. It wasn't fear. It wasn't wonder. It was a strange, divine blend of both. He looked at me again, not like a teacher or a king, but like someone who knew every corner of my soul and still delighted in what he saw. "Before I show you what's coming," he said softly, "you must remember who you are to me." I didn't understand, but then his eyes locked on mine. "You've been called Amanda," he continued, "but heaven has always known you by the name I gave you." And then I heard it, not with ears but in the center of my being. A name I had never spoken, never read, never imagined, yet somehow always known. When he said it, I felt a wind of pure light rush through me. It was like a key turning in my chest. Suddenly, every insecurity I'd ever felt fell off of me. The wounds, the doubt, the need to prove myself. Gone. "This is how I see you," he said, "and this is the authority you'll carry when you speak of what you've seen." I was trembling. He reached out and touched my chest, and something like a seal of fire settled into me. "Now," he said, "see?" The air ahead shimmered, and a new veil opened, and the first event began. The scroll appeared again in his hand, this time brighter than before, as if the future was pressing through its edges. "What you see will not be metaphors," Jesus said. "These are moments written to unfold. Some may be delayed, others will happen exactly as shown, but the time is short, and the season has begun." He opened the scroll, and it unrolled downward like a waterfall of glowing threads. As each thread unraveled, I began to see images, not dreams, not symbols, events. They weren't revealed all at once. Each one rose like a wave, reached a peak, and then fell away, replaced by the next. "You will see 4, he said, 4 signs in May of 2025 that will shake the earth awake. Each one will touch a different realm, the heavens, the earth, the heart, and the church." I nodded. I could barely breathe. He raised his hand toward the first thread. "This one will be seen by all," he said. "It will mark the beginning." The light intensified, and I was pulled forward into the first vision. I stood above the earth as if suspended in orbit. Jesus stood beside me, radiant and steady, and pointed toward the continent of Europe. At first, it looked normal. Cities pulsing with light, rivers winding like silver threads. Then the sky changed. A deep burning red stretched across the horizon, spreading from the north like blood seeping through cotton. The color wasn't just visual. It carried a vibration, a warning, a signal. "This will be seen over nations," Jesus said. "They will call it atmospheric, but it is spiritual." I looked closer. The red sky passed over capitals, Berlin, Warsaw, Vienna, and wherever it went, people stopped. Cell phones came out, news reports flared. But I could see something deeper. Fear. Not because of war or politics, but because the soul of man could feel that this wasn't natural. Children cried in their sleep. Animals went silent. Old people clutched their chests and whispered prayers they hadn't said in decades. Then I saw governments scrambling. "They will try to explain it," Jesus said, "but they cannot stop it, because it is not coming from them." A voice in the spirit whispered, "It is the first shaking of the sky." And then I saw something stranger. People who understood. They stood in small groups, not on stages, not in cathedrals, but in fields, homes, mountaintops. They held hands and prayed with eyes lifted to the red sky. And I saw it, light descending upon them. Revelation, activation. "This is the sign to my remnant," Jesus said. When the skies bleed, lift your heads, your work begins. And just like that, the vision faded. The next vision pulled me downward, fast. I landed somehow in a city built on water, Venice. I knew it immediately, the canals, the bridges, the romance woven into its stones. But now it was shaking. I heard sirens, screams, not of war, but of collapse. Buildings leaned, water rushed into places it wasn't meant to. The city wasn't just flooding, it was sinking. "This is the second event," Jesus said beside me. "The earth will groan under corruption. Foundations will give way." I saw tourists trying to escape, residents wading through waist-deep water in churches, museums, homes. The water was rising fast. People cried, not just in fear, but in shock, like they couldn't believe this was really happening. And then I saw the truth. Underneath the city, I saw something like a spiritual fracture, a tear. And from that tear, darkness had been pouring out for decades, hidden, quiet, but now exposed. "What was built without righteousness will crumble in a day," Jesus said, "and this is only the beginning." But again, I saw hope. A single chapel, half submerged, remained untouched. Inside, a woman wept over an open Bible, and from her, light poured outward, stopping the water from claiming more. "One heart in alignment with heaven can interrupt disaster," Jesus said. "That is the power I've placed within my people." And then the vision dissolved. I fell to my knees, shaking. "Two more remain," he said gently, "but I needed you to see. Even in collapse, I am near." The moment the vision shifted again, I felt something cold brush across my spirit. This one felt different. Jesus stood beside me, his eyes focused and full of sorrow. "What you are about to see," he said, "has already begun. But in May 2025, it will be revealed." A figure rose in the center of the scene, bright, radiant, beautiful, more beautiful than anything I'd ever seen. He looked like an angel. No, like the angel. Golden robes, soft smile, voice like silk over thunder. People flocked to him, thousands at first, then millions. They raised their hands, they fell to their knees, and I heard it. "He has the answers," they whispered. "He sees us. He hears us." He didn't demand worship. He offered solutions. He didn't speak of sin. He spoke of power. He didn't bring fire. He brought agreement, and I could feel it in my soul. Something was off. It was too perfect, too clean, too easy. Jesus spoke with quiet authority. "This is the false light, the mimic, the one who comes to unify, but not under my name." I saw him enter churches. I saw him praised on screens and stages. I saw leaders, even spiritual ones, bend their knees and say, "This is what we've been waiting for." And I saw truth shrink in their mouths. Then the image shifted. Behind the false angel, I saw serpents of light, hiding behind his glory. They slithered through his words, twisting, charming, hypnotizing. But what shocked me most? People I knew, people I loved, believers who once stood for truth now standing in silence, not recognizing the deception because it didn't look like evil. It looked like help. "This is why discernment must return to my people," Jesus said. "Not all that glows is from heaven." And yet, not everyone bowed. Scattered around the world, I saw a remnant, small groups, tiny homes, young people, old warriors, unknown names, hidden hearts. They refused the glow. They clung to truth like a sword. And heaven covered them in a fire that no lie could touch. "Tell them," Jesus said, "to prepare their spirits now. For many will be deceived by what looks like light." After the storm of deception, a new light rose, soft, pure, true. It came not from above, but from within, from the hidden places of the earth, the huts, the broken-down churches, the prison cells, the dirt floors, the knees in secret rooms. and out of these places came the righteous ones. They didn't wear crowns, they didn't wear microphones, they wore ashes and oil. These are my true ones, Jesus said, born in obscurity, trained in fire. Their voices will awaken nations. I saw a girl, maybe 12, preaching to her village under a mango tree. She had no shoes, but she had power in her voice that split through the air like thunder. I saw an old man in a war zone whispering scripture as bombs fell around him, and angels descending to shield his words like living shields. I saw mothers who had lost everything worshiping in broken voices that made heaven's armies stop and listen. These were the small, but they were burning, and that fire began to spread. They didn't need stages. They didn't need permission. They just needed Jesus, and he was in them like a roaring river. In May 2025, he said, "This movement will break forth." Quiet at first, but irreversible. I saw these remnant ones cross borders, dream dreams, and lay hands that healed. I saw them speak in tongues they had never learned. I saw glory rest on their backs like mantles passed from heaven itself. Then he looked at me. They are watching. They are listening. And some of them will hear this message. Speak with fire. Speak with urgency. For I am gathering my army, and they are ready. I couldn't stop weeping. Not because I was afraid, but because I knew. I wasn't worthy of what I had seen. And yet he had chosen me anyway. I wanted to stay. I wanted to stay in that light, with him, watching the rising remnant and the fall of false light. But Jesus turned to me, and I already knew what was coming. "Amanda," he said, "this vision was not for you alone. You are hearing this now because it must be spoken before the shaking begins." I fell to my knees. "But who will believe me?" I asked. "I'm just me." He knelt beside me, the king of all, and looked into my eyes. "You carry my breath. That is enough." He placed his hand over my heart. "Your voice will tremble, but your spirit won't. You will remember in pieces, but I will bring the pieces when it is time." Then I saw a final image, a sea of people watching a video, listening, crying, writing, changing. Not because of me, but because of him. "They will feel the urgency," he said, "and those who carry me will recognize what is true." The light began to surround me again. The scroll closed, the veil shut. My spirit cried out, "Don't let me forget." "You won't," he whispered, "because this message is written into your breath." Then everything exploded in color, and I was falling, fast, back toward earth. I didn't want to come back. Every part of me resisted it. After seeing him, after hearing the voice that once called stars into being, how could I return to the world that had felt so heavy, so blind, so loud? But it wasn't my choice. The light around me pulsed again, no longer expanding but tightening. I was being pulled downward, through dimensions, through memories, through noise. "It is not time to stay," Jesus said gently, "but it is time to speak." His final words rang in my soul like thunder wrapped in love. "Warn them, strengthen the few. The May winds will blow whether they are ready or not." Then, silence. I fell fast. The beautiful light was replaced by something I can only describe as a crushing density. The spiritual weight of earth pressed against me like clay forming around a flame. I gasped, pain, cold, voices, sirens, hands on my chest. "She's breathing! She's back!" a man shouted. "Pulse is strong! I don't believe this!" I opened my eyes. Hospital lights, beeping machines, my body shaking. A nurse staring at me like she'd just seen a ghost. But I wasn't the same Amanda. I had left with questions. I returned with fire. The days that followed were strange. Doctors couldn't explain how I survived. "Direct lightning strikes are almost always fatal," one said, scratching his head. "You have some burns, but your heart's clean. Your brain's untouched." But that wasn't true. My mind was forever changed. I began remembering the scroll, the red sky, the sinking city. the angel of light, the fire in the faithful, and his voice. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't stay silent. I wrote for hours, trying to capture it all before the memories faded, and yet they didn't. They remained sharp, too sharp. Some people were skeptical, others wept, and a few said, "Amanda, I've felt this too." That's when I knew this wasn't just for me. This message was a call to the church, to the seekers, to the ones who've been dreaming of something coming but couldn't name it. If you're listening right now, if this has found you, it's not an accident. You must wake up before May. Turn off the noise. Return to your knees. Read the word like your life depends on it, because it does. Don't trust every angel that glows. Don't follow every voice that comforts. Cling to Jesus. He's still the only light that doesn't pretend. I'll end this the only way I know how. This is your warning. May 2025 will not be like the months before it. Not because the world will burn in a single day, but because it will begin to shift. Quietly at first, and then loudly. When the sky turns red, don't panic. Pray. When a city collapses, don't just watch, repent. When a false angel rises, don't follow, discern. And when the righteous ones appear, join them. Jesus didn't show me these things so I could scare anyone. He showed me because the time of casual faith is over. You don't need to be a prophet. You don't need to be famous. You just need to be awake. There's a war coming, not of bombs, but of voices, and those who know the shepherd's voice will be the only ones who walk through it with peace. I died on April 14th, 2024. I met Jesus, and I came back not with theories, but with truth. I am nobody special, but I saw what's coming, and I refuse to stay silent. My name is Amanda Lee, and this is my testimony. Now please, share this before May begins. They must be warned. I thought returning to Earth meant leaving heaven behind, but I was wrong. Ever since I came back, it's like the veil never fully closed. My body healed, but my sight didn't go back to normal. It went beyond it. I don't mean I see ghosts or halos. It's deeper than that. It's like I can feel the invisible, the air around people, the difference between peace and performance in someone's prayer. I walk into rooms and sense heaviness or light before anyone speaks. Some nights, I wake up at exactly 3 a.m., heart pounding, feeling a wind move through my room, though every window is shut. I kneel instinctively, not out of fear, but reverence, because I know he's near. And then, the reminders come, in whispers. The red sky is almost here. Get ready. They will twist light into lies. Do not fear the shaking. I am within it. I've kept quiet for months, hoping the burden would ease, but it hasn't. In fact, it's growing, because May is coming, and something inside me keeps repeating, they're still asleep. So here I am, speaking again, not as someone who wants attention, but as someone who cannot be quiet anymore. My spiritual senses are still wide open, and I believe many of you are starting to feel it too. You're seeing numbers, having dreams, sensing that May will not be ordinary. Don't brush it off. You're not crazy. You're being called. This is my final word. Not because I'm done speaking forever, but because once May 2025 begins, things will speak for themselves. You'll see it. You'll feel it. And by then, the choice won't be about belief. It'll be about positioning. Here's what I mean. If you are in Christ, you will not fear. If you are in confusion, you will be shaken. If you are in rebellion, your ground will crack. This is not punishment. This is a correction, a divine course adjustment for a planet that's wandered too far off map. But mercy always speaks first. That's why I'm writing. That's why you're hearing. So please, stop scrolling, doubting, postponing. Forgive that person. Turn off the noise. Repent in secret. Fast for clarity. Pray like someone else's breakthrough depends on it. Because it does. When the sky turns red, and it will, remember this story. When the city collapses, And it will, remember this voice. When the angel of light rises, and he will, remember who you belong to. And when the small ones begin to roar, don't ignore them, join them, because they will carry the fire that survives the flood. My name is Amanda Lee. Jesus sent me back with one mission. Prepare the few who will awaken the many. This is your final warning, not to fear, but to align, because once May begins, everything changes.